We're here today because of an amendment proposed by Congressman Amodei to the National Defense Authorization Act. This amendment, it's 186 pages long, and it includes scores of provisions that would expand the Navy's footprint near Fallon. It would expand it by hundreds of thousands of acres, largely to do more bombing operations and other training missions out there. One of the reasons that I'm here and representing the Great Basin Water Network is that in this sweeping amendment, there is a provision that would help facilitate what I call the Dixie Valley Water Grab. Fallon and Churchill County have for years, since the mid-1980s, have been proposing exporting groundwater out of Dixie Valley to serve Sproul. There are provisions in this bill that would help advance that cause.
Here we are. They can't be trusted. And part of the reason they want this water is because they've contaminated the water in Fallon. All right, let's not make a mistake. I remember a time in the 1980s when it rained so much that oil actually percolated to the surface out in Fallon. No, this is not okay.
Stillwater National Wildlife Refuge is the densest concentration of wintering range for bald eagles in the state of Nevada. There are hundreds of thousands of shorebirds and wading birds who come out to Stillwater every year on their migratory trip up the Pacific Flyway. This proposal will dramatically increase overflights over Stillwater National Wildlife Refuge, disrupting breeding birds, disrupting the bald eagles.
I have no doubt we can turn this crap around. I wouldn't be standing here if we didn't think so.
I've been dealing with the military or specifically the Navy, the naval base there for a while now. They have repeatedly taken, which isn't, uncommon in the government, taking land from us and used it for reasons that they say are good, but always hurt initially our people.
This bill gives a nod and a wink to a massive water grab on an aquifer that has water from the Ice Age in it. They want to pump it and they want to pipe it to Fallon for Sproul.
Well, we submitted an amendment. It went to the Rules Committee with about 1,000 others, and it wasn't made in order, which means it wasn't accepted for inclusion in the bill on the floor. It's not the first time it's happened. It's part of a 5-year ongoing process, and so there's not really a bunch of blood and guts to talk about. They didn't make it in order along with about, 400 or 500 other bills. Unless I missed it, and I don't think I did, there wasn't one where they brought it up specifically and argued the merits or whatever. They just issued a report saying, these are the ones that aren't in order, and this was one of them. There were also there were also groups that said they thought it was a pretty good bill. Sharon Netherton with the Nevada Wildlife Foundation, I think, or Friends of Nevada Wilderness. There were other folks, counties that are responsible for planning and zoning throughout the area, so that's great if that's their opinion and they're entitled to it. I think a read of the proposal as it's developed over the last 5 years would leave one at a loss for creating about 1 million acres of wilderness area, an unprecedented cultural resource program, put the federal government in charge of sage hen habitat with the budgets that go with that, as opposed to BLM's budget, which is almost nothing for that. So I think it would take land management in some areas into more protected status, and also provide more resources to manage that stuff. So that's what I'd say. Not your words, mine. I think the bill overall was supported by many, many wildlife and resource organizations, which is why it's pretty close to consensus. But if those three groups, if Plan with its extensive land use experience throughout central Nevada and the Great Basin thinks they've got a better view of it, then they're entitled to it.